بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحي. أهلا بكم أحبتي أو أحبتنا الطلبة في درس جديد عن أصول علم المواد، وكذلك عن الإحصائيات التي تتعلق بالشبائك البلورية، والتي تتعلق بحساب مستويات التطبيق الذري خلال الأوربيتالات أو خلال المدارات المتخذة ضمن تركيب الذرة، وكذلك طاقات المدارات عن طريق حساب أو عن طريق طرق إحصائية بحتة لتمثيل التركيب المداري الذري بطريقة طاقية أو بطريقة تتعلق بالطاقة. كما ترون اليوم الدرس متعلق جدا بفضل الله، متعلق جدا أو مرتبط ارتباطا وثيقا بالدروس السابقة واحد سطر، ويتعلق كذلك يتعلق بالتكملة أو بالقسم التكميلي للدروس السابقة، ألا وهو ابتداء ب as inception here احصاء فيرمي ديراك statistics. So here you are, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. How are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? And once again today, in a brand new lecture that actually mostly associated to the previous lecture, as well as the former lectures and lessons and seminars that we actually already been through, or even they were actually already did before, or even they were already performed for, that mostly associated to the material science and engineering and material sciences, especially about the atomic lattices. The atomic lattices, as well as the statistical methods or even statistical visualizations here that are only associated to the orbitals representations, as well as the atomic displays and the atomic assortment and tacticity of orbitals, statistically conceptioned as well as statistically visualized by using multiple statistical sophisticated methods that actually mostly associated or even trying to be or an attempt to figure out the ways or even to figure out the energetic state of the orbitals levels, or even the electronics, or even the levels of hybridination, as well as levels of energy representations within the atoms, and knowing or reaching the optimal knowing, or even reaching the optimal comprehension for the atomic tacticity, as well as the atomic assortment, or the orbital and the SPD levels represented to the orbitals, or even to the orbitals that represented levels of SP and D, in order to visualize the atomic atomic binding and bonding, and the mechanism of the electronic, or even the mechanism of orbital flow within the systematic atomic arrangement. As you can see right in front of you is فيرمي ديراك statistic or فيرمي ديراك distribution function. يعني إحصاء فيرمي ديراك أو معادلة أو دالة توزيع فيرمي ديراك. Purely intrinsically statistic topics here. Purely and intrinsically statistics topic we're actually about to go through right now is very much correlated to the previous and the formal lectures and seminars that were actually already been visualized by us already, or that were actually already visualized. The microscopic particles energy, or the microscopic objects energy in their clusters are dually divided, or even are dually divided according to their physical path. يعني يمكن تقسيم طاقة الجسيمات الميكروسكوبية في تجمعاتها إلى قسمين أساسيين. clusters هي تجمعات، أو accumulations هي تجمعات، أو agglomerations هي التكتلات. agglomerations و accumulations وكذلك clusters. التجمعات العنقودية هي الكلاسترز إلى قسمين أساسيين. dually can be basically dually divided according to the, or even branched according to their physical path, which are mostly bosons and fermions. Includes bosons, includes photons, phonons, and many further particles, or many further objects with this pink quantum number for all is mh-. يعني أخرى يكون عدد كم اللف المغزلي لها جميعا مساوية ل mh-. أما الفرميونات, whereas the fermions includes the alketrons and protons and neutrons and many further particles with a spin quantum number, يعني عدد كم لف مغزلي أو عدد كم المغزلي لها h- n plus 1/2, or n plus 1/2 by h-. H- is the is the systematic Planck constant. systematic Planck constant أو ثابت بلانك المعدل، حيث وليس المعدل، ثابت بلانك المنظم، ثابت بلانك التنظيمي systematic Planck constant, where the n is actually is valued as 0 1 2 3. يعني حيث تتخذ n أو n مقيمة أو تتخذ n قيم 0 1 2 3. يعني دراسة أو دراسة مستويات الطاقة وتواجد الجسيمات الأساسية البنائية للذرة. As also and the existence also can study and can visualize or even trying to demonstrate here, to demonstrate the existence or the coexistence of the main particles or even main objects that are considered to be hypothetically observed or even detected so far, as well as they are realistically exist. As you can see right here in front of you, the fermions. As you can see right here in front of you, the fermions tends in any system to the self or even to the private selflessness or the private eminence. يعني تميل الفرميونات منظومة إلى الذاتية الخصوصية or the particular eminence، يعني الذاتية الخصوصية. فإذا ما شغلت بعض المستويات الكمية in case of any of the quantum levels are occupied with amount of fermions totally veiled off furthers، يعني حجبت تماما عن غيرها. وهذا هو جوهر قاعدة بولي الاستبعاد. And this is the elixir of the Pauli exclusion principle. And the fermions acquired their names due to their subjugation or due to their satisfactory of the statistical distribution of Fermi-Dirac distribution function. And accordingly, so the statistics is the definition, or the statistics is defined as the probability of occupying the EI energy level is given by the relevancy. يعني يعطى بالعلاقة FEI يساوي 1 exponential EI minus EF كما ترون هنا. as you can see right here for you. حيث تمثل K ثابت فولتزمان، و T درجة حرارة مطلقة، و EF مستوى طاقة فيرمي، كما تعرف الدالة EF بدالة فيرمي ديراك as ديراك. والتعرف على خصائص الدالة إنه خصائص الدالة مهمة جدا. And just identify the characteristics of the functions that we only indicate. يعني للتعرف على خصائص الدالة يجب معرفة الآتي. The following has to be known. A. At the zero temperature, or even at the absolute zero or nearby, E is big, or EI is smaller than EF. FEI equals to 1. At the elevated temperature is equal to 1. At the elevated temperature is equal to FEI equals to 0. Or at the elevated temperature, FEI is equal to 1, and EI is bigger than EF. And when FEI is to have, and EI is actually EF at the state of equilibrium, or actually at the state of equilibrium, or the state of balancy, as you can see right in front of you. يعني عنده خلال درجة الحرارة العالية يكون ال FEI 1 وليس 0. هنا تصحح. Here it should be corrected. Here the value, as you can see right in front of you, right, or the left hand side, or at the left hand side, of the equation should be corrected, as well as should be modified. FEI, the function level, or the Fermi-Dirac distribution function, or even the Fermi-Dirac function, as you can see right in front of you, the FEI is equal to 1 at the elevated temperature or at the high temperatures. When we are going into a state of balancy, or even we are going to a state, or even we are heading to a state, or even a case of equilibrium, the FEI, the Fermi-Dirac distribution function, or the FEI, the Fermi-Dirac function, equal to half, when the EI is actually pretty much equated with the EF. عندما تساوي EI EF. Equated يعني تساوي. That means that the usual temperatures، يعني ذلك انه في درجات الحرارة المعتادة تكون المستويات ذات الطاقة الأقل في ان EF مشغولة. The energy levels actually in EF are occupied, where the levels with a value that much more than EF is actually remains on the other way around. يعني تبقى دون ذا. كما يوضحه شكل the values that, or even the levels that have value of more than EF, or even that has value way beyond the EF, actually stays or even remains even beyond. كما يوضحه شكل 11.5 as illustrated in figure 11.5. In order to obtain a relationship between the EF value and the conduction electron density N in a vector field or in a vector space, a K dash, it's obligatory to take initial conditions as follows. It's very obligatory to stick to the following relative initial conditions. يعني وجب الأخذ بالاحتياط أو بشروط ابتدائية مفادها kx equal to 2 pi, as you can see right from ky equal to 2 pi, and kz equal to 2 pi. For each kx, ky, kz is actually an xyz, as you can see right from you, where lz, ly, lz are the rectangular shaped cellular dimensions of the materials with the size of f or with the size of v equals to lx, ly, lz. Thus, the mean value occupied or the mean volume occupied by the individual energy level in a vector space or even the vector field k dash is kx, ky, kz or all together multiplied productly equals to يعني kx, ky, kz مضروبة نقطيا مع بعضها equals to 2 by cubic يعني 2 باي تكعيب, as you can see right in front of you, equals to 8 by cubic v. يعني معادلة لإيجاد الكي أو الإيجاد ثابت بولتزمان لخلية مكعبة الشكل تضرب ثابت بولتزمان في الأبعاد الثلاثة إذا كانت الأبعاد الثلاثة تمتلك ثابت بولتزمان متغير. So, Boltzmann constant, in order to find or in order to obtain Boltzmann constant for a cellular dimension or even to a cubic figured or cubic shaped cellular dimensions for a variant or even for a variety of Boltzmann constant K, variety of Boltzmann constant K, we only obligatory have to find the Boltzmann constant by applying the following rule. يعني علينا أن نجد ثابت بولتزمان عن تطبيق القاعدة التالية كما ترون أمامكم. 2 by cubic, 2 by cubic, 8 by cubic, V. V is the volume of the cube, or volume of the cubic cell. Since we are dealing with a cubic cell, so the volume is going to be like the product multiplication of their 3 lateral lengths, or the product multiplication of their 3, or its 3 dimensions. يعني, or the cell, the great cell, her 3 dimensions. يعني سيكون المجموع أو مضروب the product of its all 3 dimensions. يعني سيكون مجموع أو مضروب أبعادها الثلاث أو أبعاد الخلية الثلاث the product of her 3 ultimate dimensions or the product of her all 3 dimensions is going to be like the volume. يعني مضروب أبعادها الثلاثة سيكون الحجم. The affected agents or even the affected factors of the electrical conductivity, يعني الأمراض المؤثرة في الموصلية الكهربائية في الموصلية ليس electrical ولكن الموصلية. The affected parameters or the factors here. The factors are characterized as follows. يعني العوامل يمكن ذكرها كالتالي: temperature, electromagnetic radiations الإشعاعات الكهرومغناطيسية, and inclusions المتضمنات. The metallics are described by, as you can see right in front of you, the metallics are described by the availability of conduction electrons, and we always and constantly permanent or even constantly permanent and constant amount of electrons will be coexist or even will be present at the conduction band. Pretty much impurities dependent. يعني pretty much impurities dependent. At the elevated temperatures, the reaction time value of tau will be very much substantial, where the metallic ions will be vibrated in harmonic motions. With increasing temperatures, the amplitudes or even the escalations amplitudes will severely or will extremely and excessively increase and in harmonic form. The vibrated ions will serves or even vibrated ions will even work as centers or dispersion centers violently than they were before heating, or they violently than they were before heating. يعني كمراكز تشتت تعمل أيونات المهتزة, and the vibrated ions will work or even will perform as a dispersion centers or even as a scattering centers violently بدرجة أعنف مما كان عليه قبل التسخين. Violently than they were before, prior to heating, than they were before heating. يعني أعنف مما كان عليه قبل التسخين. ونتيجة لذلك, as a result for this, or therefore, the values of each of يعني قيم كل من the values of each of the free path mean time as well as the mobility and relaxation times will be elevated, as well as elevation the value of conductivity sigma with the elevation of temperature. يعني كلما ارتفعت درجة الحرارة. On the other hand, في الجانب الآخر تظل أشباه الموصلات تسلك مسلك مواد عازلة. The semiconductors will always be as an insulator at the temperatures of EGK, at the high elevated temperature or even at the high temperatures. The augmentations or the thermal augmentations will trigger يعني الاستثارة الحرارية تدفع الإلكترونات will trigger the electrons to the conduction band or to the conduction band. You can see what I meant, to the conduction bands. So the conductivity will be increased exponentially with any increase in temperature. يعني تزداد ذلك قيمة الموصلية بطريقة أسية مع زيادة درجة الحرارة. In addition, the hole in the or even the tolls are in the equivalence bands resulting from electron departure and leaving them there contribute also in the electrical conductivity process. The quality of this type actually, or even the specificity, or even the kind of this conduction at the semiconductors is actually called the auto-electrical conductions, or even the self-electrical conductions. The sort of the conductions at the semiconductors is actually called the self-electrical conductors, and the single crystals of the semiconductors or the intrinsic semiconductors are mostly characterized with the feature such as silicon Si and germanium Gr. In case of the intrinsic semiconductors is actually doped with an inclusion. doped يعني طعم. فإذا ما طعم شبه الموصل النقي بشائبة ما يعني بأي شائبة أو مشابه يعني بمتضمن تزداد قيمة الموصلية الكهربائية بشكل ملحوظ. The electrical conductivity value will be increased noticeably or even considerably يعني بشكل ملحوظ. For size, فعلى سبيل المثال, the addings of even of amounts of particle or amounts of billion of gallium elements or even the arsenic As to the silicon or even germanium will increase the electrical conductivity as 2 orders or even 3 in the value. This actually, or this sort of conductivity in the semiconductors pretty much similar to the transient or the accidental conductions, or even the transient conductions, the inautomatic or the automatic conduction, The transient conduction is actually denoted or even is actually termed as to be the transient conduction or even the automatic conductions. The electromagnetic radiations affect very essentially the conductivity of the self semiconductors. When applying a light or even infrared beam on any of them, they actually display or even exhibit an excessive electrical conductivity than they were in case of opacity. في حالة العتامة هي opacity. And the aspect is actually pretty much known as the optical conductions. There are many of preferable junctions as a metallic junctions to a semiconductor or even to a self semiconductors. يعني هناك وصلات مفضلة preferable يعني مفضلة كوصلة فلز يعني as a metallic junction with a self semiconductor يعني مع شبه موصل ذاتي as well as a semiconductor or as well as another or even a like the self semiconductor with a further semiconductors displayed at when they are electrically illuminated يعني تبدي مقاومة عند إضاءتها تيارا كهربائيا or even unidirectionally electrically illuminated other than fathers or other than the many of elements as they are, or other than many of elements as they are. The aspect is actually denoted as the rectification. يعني تعرف الحالة بالتقويم rectification التقويم. And due to the Schottky photovoltaic aspects as well as has many of capitalizations and manufacturing of cells. يعني ولها فوائد جمة في تصنيع الخلايا or very for extreme or even of maximal capitalizations of the solar cell manufacturing. يعني في تصنيع يعني لها فوائد جمة أو لها فوائد هائلة في تصنيع الخلايا الشمسية. There are also electrical electrodes of cell semiconductors such as the Fe alpha Fe2O3. The ferrous oxides, alpha ferrous oxides, displayed or even display illumination when they are illuminated by a capability of electrolysis, or even by a capability of especially the alpha Fe2O3 is displaying a capability when illuminated for the electrolysis. يعني تبدي عند إضاءتها قدرة على تحليل المياه كهربائيا. فكرة الثقب الشغرة الموجب. The idea of positive tolls, as you can see right for you. So the electrons mobilize, or even the electrons move the semiconductors in the conduction bands, as well as they are moved in the equivalent or the semi-full equivalent bands, and the absence or the presence of the electrical field. We can describe the electron's current density in the, or we can describe, we can even denoting the equivalence band electron's current density in the following relationships: J equal to NeV, V dash equals to Ne1N, summation of I, Vi equals to 0, as well as E is equals to the exponential summation of I, Vi equals to 0. If the electrons happens to be lost, يعني إذا فقدت الإلكترونات, يعني in case of the electrons that happens to be lost, ranked as J at the band, or even at the band value, so J equals to equivalence, or even J equals to exponential Vj plus the summation of I does not equal G at Vi, or even equals pretty much J Vi, or extremely equals to J Vi equals to 0. يعني كما ترون أمامكم كثافة تيار الإلكترونات اللي هو J. The electron's current density at the equivalence band, يعني كثافة تيار الإلكترون في شريط التكافؤ أو في حزمة التكافؤ هي J. E هو الإكسبوننشال أو هو شحنة الإلكترون. V السرعة، سرعة الدفع أو سرعة الإنجاف. V is the drift velocity, or even the thrust velocity, plus summation the EI JVI equals to 0. Does not equal 0. All right. It means very valuable. This mean is very valuable. Or even for size to take the electron current density very valuable does not equal 0. This is not equal 0. The 0 should be corrected. Why is in front of you? And the left-hand side equation should be corrected, or it should be modified to a whole different value other than 0. يعني يجب على الصفر أن يعدل إلى قيمة أخرى عدا الصفر. And the relevancy will become in the form, وتصبح العلاقة على الصورة J equals to exponential summation I equals to JVI equals to EVJ. The result donates, or even the result significant, is the electrical current density of each of the equivalence band electrons is represented by a single charge current density, or single positively charged current density characterized with a negative effective mass. In case of the exterior fields was pretty much effective too, the positively negative, or the positive charge will be denoted as the gap. Will be denoted as the gap. The total electrical conductivity can be assigned for any self-semiconductors by contribution of each of the negative charge density of electrons N with the mobility mu E, as well as the charge density, or even the tolls or the gaps P charge density of the mobility mu P, represented by the relevancy. وتمثل بالعلاقة، يعني تتعين الموصلية الكهربية الكلية the overall electrical conductivity can be assigned لشبه الموصل الذاتي for the self or the auto semiconductor بمساهمة كل من كثافة الشحنة السالبة by the contributions of each of the negative charge density، يعني كثافة الشحنة وليس السالبة من الإلكترونات of the electrons M of mobility mu E يعني حركية الإلكترونات، وكثافة الشحنة الموجبة as well as the positive charge density of gaps P of the tolls P of mobility mu P، يعني حركية الثقوب أو حركية الشهور mu P as the Hall's density or even the tolls density represented by the following relationship: sigma الموصلية الكهربائية sigma electrical conductivity equals to N عدد الإلكترونات أو كثافة الشحنة من الإلكترونات E mu E mu E شحنة الإلكترونات mu E هي حركية الإلكترونات E is the electron density ME mu أنه حرف لاتيني is the Latin prefix or even Latin significant يعني or Latin syllabus يعني حرف لاتيني، مفردة لاتينية، حرف لاتيني. ميو دلالة على الحركية في فيزياء أشباه الموصلات as a significant of mobility in the semiconductor physics. ميو E is the mobility of electrons، يعني حركة الإلكترونات، plus P E is the electron density just like we indicated before، يعني حركة الإلكترونات أو شحنة الإلكترونات بالأحرى كما أسلفنا. ميو P حركية الشغور. قانون مهم جدا. The effect of temperatures to the mobility or temperatures affecting mobility، يعني تأثير درجة الحرارة بالحركية. The mobility is already have been defined as the median drift velocity for the electrical field unit or for the electrical field, which is basically positive، يعني موجبة أساسا لكل من الإلكترونات والثقوب for each of the electrons as well as the holes. Despite that the velocity directions، يعني على الرغم من اتجاهي سرعتي الدفع، despite of that both drift velocity directions are reversible or irreversible, as you can see right in front of you, due to the different types of their charge during conduction or during electrical conduction process, where they're going counterly to each other. تيار أحدهما where their current is actually going counterly to each other، يعني تيارهما معاكس للتيار الثاني. The mobility is pretty much affected in their attachment or even in their correlation to the temperatures with the dispersion elements of solids. The dispersion resulting from phonons is affecting mobility. Mu pH, according to the rule, mu pH equal to AT3 to 2. AT3 to 2. AT3 to 2 mu pH يعني التشتت المؤثر الناتج من الفوتونات المؤثر على حركية الشغور. And the impurities or even the inclusions, the resultant dispersion is actually affecting in the form of mu I BT32. According to the rule, mu I equals to BT32. يعني يؤثر التشتت الناتج عن الشوائب as well as dispersion or even the scattering resulting from inclusions. Mi is denoted as Mi, which is by the way denoted as Mi, is affecting according to the rule. Mi equals to BT32 or 32, where A and B are constants، يعني حيث A و B ثوابت. T is the absolute temperature. T درجة الحرارة المطلقة عند تواجد عنصري التشتت. T ليست درجة الحرارة المطلقة. T هي ثابت كذلك. عند تواجد عن عنصري التشتت when the both elements of dispersion are coexist, they work parallelly to assign the equivalence mobility. يعني يعملان بشكل متوازي، يعني they work or even they perform parallelly، يعني يعملان أو يؤديان العمل أو الوظيفة بشكل متوازي لتعيين الحركية المكافئة to assign the equivalence or the equivalent mobility mu for them، يعني تعيين الحركية التوافقية لهما من العلاقة from the relationship mu pH mu I A B as you can see right T 3 T as plus T as you can see right for you. كما ترون أمامكم بالعلاقة مهمة جدا يجب حفظها. Should be memorized. Should be continuously memorized. يعني يجب حفظها باستمرار. At the temperatures in deep A or the beyond deep A temperatures, actually the rule or even the task of dispersions or the task of the inclusions of dispersions actually osculated or even overwhelmed. Overwhelmed يعني يزداد دور التشتت في الشوائب بحيث يمكن معه إهمال دور الفوتون. We can neglect the phonons, and the vice versa will actually happens or even take place at the elevated temperatures. يعني ويحدث العكس. The vice versa is actually taking place at the elevated temperatures. In that manner or according to this instant we could only find that يعني وفقا لذلك وفقا لتلك الوتيرة أو وفقا للوتيرة نجد أنه at the temperatures the mobility will change with respect to mu proportionality with T. At the elevated temperatures the mobility will change with respect to mu, the direction proportion, or even the directionally proportionality, or even directionally a proportionality of a mu with a T or T with a mu. Inclusions will be actually very much introduced at the study of the high intrinsic materials mobility, such as the semiconductors. And the following figure would disambiguate the noticeable change that actually takes place by mu when adding inclusions to this sort of masses, or even to this sort of materials. يعني يوضح الشكل التالي: التغيير الملحوظ اللي يطرح على ميو عند إضافة شوائب إلى النوعية من المواد. أثر درجات الحرارة على كثافة الشحنة. Temperature affecting charge. أثر درجات الحرارة على الشحنة. EV equals 0. So the possibility, or even the probability for the electron to occupy the probability of the electron to occupy the conduction bands is actually satisfied by the applying, or even satisfied by the applications of the Fermi Dirac distribution functions Fe, and assigning the available levels density for unit volumes from the relationships. يعني فإن احتمال probability شغل الإلكترونات لشريط التوصيل the probability for the electrons occupating conduction bands is satisfying يتحقق or even achieved by the applications بتطبيق دالة فيرمي للإحصاء المتوزيعي Fermi Dirac distribution function, and assigning وتعيين the density of the available levels كثافة المستويات المتاحة for unit volumes لوحدة الحجم من العلاقة from the levelcy or from the relationships S equal to NEV as well as you can see right in front of you equals to A by effective mass E, as you can see right from the square root of 2 effective mass E. Effective mass E is the charge of electron. يعني هنا E هي شحنة الإلكترون E minus, as you can see right from E and EG. The relevancy states that the electrons with an energy that beyond the, or even the electrons with an energy that as or even equating the energy of the energy gap band, or energy band gap, or the band energy gap EG is actually jumps, or even the relationship states that the electrons with the energy that actually pretty much equating to the energy gap energy, or energy band gap, or a band gap energy EG will find their way out to the conduction band, will find their way out or even jump to the conduction band. يعني تقفز إلى شريط التوصيل, can contribute the electrical conductivity, or even flow, or cause the flow, or even not cause the flow, you reduce flow into the electrical conductivity. The electron density N is given, or even electron density in the conduction band is given then by the relevancy. يعني تعطى كثافة الإلكترونات N في شريط التوصيل عندئذ بالعلاقة by evaluating, and this is the relevancy. N equals to the integration of EG to the infinity SEFED, integration of the infinity to AG, يعني infinity إلى AG SEFEDE, and evaluating the value, and evaluating by the value of Fe and Se, and solve the integral at the temperatures we can only get, or even yields. يعني yields يعني ينتج أو نحصل على, we gain, we get يعني نحصل على. N equals to يعني N تساوي N naught, the effective density of the electrons energy levels in the conduction band, يعني N naught الكثافة الفعالة لمستويات طاقة الإلكترونات في شريط التوصيل أو في حزمة التوصيل. Exponents of EF EG, as you can see right here in front of you, يعني كما ترون أمامكم EF و EG, العلاقة بين EF و EG, وكذلك العلاقة بين عدد الإلكترون, كثافة الإلكترون هي نفسها عدد الإلكترونات في حزمة التوصيل. M naught is the effective amount, or even the effective density of electrons, or even the effective density of the electron energy levels in the conduction band. يعني M naught تمثل الكثافة الفعالة لمستويات طاقة الإلكترونات في شريط التوصيل, وقيمتها هي كالآتي. قيمتها تحفظ, القيمة يجب أن تحفظ. The value is as follows, and should be memorized, should be constantly memorized. M naught equals to 2 by M effective, or even M storage, you can see right in front of you, 2 by الكتلة الفعالة في شحنة الإلكترون في ثابت بولتزمان في درجة حرارة مطلقة, 2M by the effective mass, by the charge of electron, by the Boltzmann constants, by the absolute temperature. 3, as you can see right in front of you. Toll's occupation probability is actually determined, or even Toll's occupation probability in the equivalence band is determined from the relationship. يعني يتحدد احتمال شغل الثقوب في شريط التكافؤ من العلاقة FHE equals to، يعني دالة فيرمي ديراك في ثابت كونستانت في ثابت بلانك FHE as you can see right in front of you equals to 1 and FE is the Fermi Dirac distribution function, or even the Fermi Dirac function is actually pretty much forbid, or even forbid the Fermi Dirac distribution function from the negative here, as you can see right, from the minus, as you can see right in front of you, between the 1 and the FE. 1 forbid as well. 1, and as you can see right in front of you, to the numerator. 1 in the numerator as well as 1 in the numerator, as you can see in front of you. As well as, وكذلك, the available levels density. The available levels density is given by the relationship. يعني كذلك كثافة المستويات المتاحة بالعلاقة, or even the available levels density by the relationship, or even by the relevancy, SHE equals to 8 by M effective H, as you can see right here, the square root of 2M effective HE. H هو ثابت constant, أو ثابت constant يعني اللي blank constant, و M هو الكتلة الفعالة effective mass. الله أكبر. And the effective mass M here as well, and the effective mass here M as well, M, sorry, as you can see M dot, and the H is the Planck constant in the numerator, as you can see right in front of you. يعني في القيمة الكسرية, or in the fraction value, or even represented in the fractional value هي القيمة الكسرية كما ترون أمامكم, مضروبة نقطيا, أو even productly multiplied by the square root value, or squared root value. Same as the predecessor steps, يعني بنفس الخطوات السابقة, we can conclude the value of the total density at various of temperatures, or at variety of temperatures. يعني يمكن استنتاج قيمة كثافة الثقوب عند درجات الحرارة المختلفة من P equals to P naught, as well as pretty much similar to N equals to N naught, exponential EF, as you can see right here for you, where P naught is as much as the N naught, but in only intrinsic, or even but in only elementary difference, which is, by the way, here is the tolls, and the N naught represents the electrons energy, or even the electrons energy level density, effective density. The P naught here is the tolls energy level effective density, or even the effective density of the tolls energy levels given by the relationship P naught equals to 2 by M effective HKT. يعني هم يجب أن تحفظ كذلك, also should be memorized as well. يعني هنا P naught نفس ال N naught. P naught is the same as the N naught, is as the same as the N naught, but with a different, or even but with an elementary difference. يعني ولكن بفرق جوهري, هو P naught للثقوب والN naught للإلكترونات. يعني P naught هي الكثافة الفعالة لمستويات طاقة الثقوب, والN naught هي الكثافة الفعالة لمستويات طاقة الإلكترونات. Good. The self-semiconductor is actually featurized by the generation of positive toll for each electrons launched from, or even for each electron triggered, or even motivated from the equivalent band, from the equivalence band. Thus N became P. يعني بذلك N تصبح P. يعني يتميز شبه الموصل الذاتي بتولد ثقب موجب لكل إلكترون ينطلق أو يتدفق أو يتم تحفيزه من شريط التكافؤ, وبذلك تصبح, أو إلى يتم تحفيزه إلى شريط التكافؤ, وبذلك تصبح N يساوي P. By evaluating them both from the correspondent equations we get, or yields, يعني بالتعويض عن قيمتيهما من المعادلات المناظرة نحصل على EP equals to 43 KT ln M effective mass H plus EG to 2. The relationship reveals, in the case, or in the both cases of T and M effective electron for M effective H, keeps the value, or even reveals the sustainability of EF, or even EF maintaining the value of EF equals to EG to 2. يعني تكشف هذه العلاقة, أو تكشف العلاقة في حالتي T وحالة الM حالة effective mass in case of electron charge and effective mass in case of a pulse charge, that EF will maintain the value of EF equals to EG over 2. EG in the numerator as well as the 2 in the denominator. يعني EG في L مقام و2 في البسط. Fermi energy level locations according to the relevancy in the self or in the self semiconductors will be at mid distance or even at the equidistant, will be equidistantly يعني عند منتصف المسافة أو يكون بمسافة متساوية عن كل من شريط التكافؤ وشريط التوصيل. will be equidistantly between the peak of the equivalence bands EV as well as the bottom of the conduction band E electrons and E volt at the absolute temperature or at the both electrons and total effective mass equating أو عند تساوي كتلتي الإلكترون والثقوب الفعالتين or at the equating of the electrons and holes or even at the or by the equating or at the equating of the electrons and toles effective masses equating or at the equating of the both electrons and toles effective masses أو عند تساوي كتلتي الإلكترون والثقوب الفعالتين. To calculate charge density at the variety of temperatures, we can only use the values of P and N from the formal equations to get MP. قانون يجب أن يحفظ MP equals 4 2 by KT, as you can see right in front of you, cubic M effective E M effective N, or M effective E by M effective N, as you can see right in front of you, exponential EG. This result is EF independent, whereas N equals to P, so يعني هذه النتيجة لا تعتمد على or this result or even this result we come up with is actually pretty much EF dependent, and whereas N equals to P, that فإن يعني حيث إن N يساوي P تتساوى الثقوب مع الإلكترونات على أعداد وكثافة الثقوب مع الإلكترونات. So we're just gonna have to experience the density equating or even the density equalization between the holes between the toles and the electrons equally, or even in the same page. N equals to P equals to the square root of P Pn equals to 2 by Kt, as you can see right in front of you, effective mass of electrons and effective mass of N exponential Eg. Or even P equals to N naught exponential. N naught here is actually acquiring the P, or even the P acquiring the N naught. That's just because the N equalizing, or even the N was equated to P. يعني هنا ال P حصل على N naught أو اكتسب N naught. هنا نفس شحنة الإلكترون الفعالة أو كثافة الإلكترون الفعالة لN، فقط لN ال N ساوى ال P. Just because the N was equal to P. Here, as you can see for you. And this is extremely temperaturized function, or even this is an extremely temperature affected function, or even extremely by temperature affected functions. Thus وفيها N naught equals to 2 أو then وكذلك أو بعد إذن N naught equals to 2 by KT M effective E M effective N 4 to 3. This is a function extremely affected by the temperature, or extremely affected via temperature. This is the functions, or even this is the resulting functions actually pretty much, or even slowly varianted with temperature. يعني هي دالة تتغير ببطء مع درجة الحرارة. By evaluating the values of P, N in the equations, we get the value of conductivity. We will acquire the value of conductivity. يعني بالتعويض عن قيمتي N و P في المعادلة نحصل على قيمة الموصلية. Sigma equal to N naught E, mu N plus P mu P. Mu N, just like we said before, or just like we stipulate before, or as it is stipulated, the Mn or the mu N, Latin prefix, or even the Latin syllabus, just like we use to be deal with, or just like we used to deal with, the mu E or mu N is the mobility of electrons, and the mu P is the mobility of tones. Exponential Eg. Also can be written in the form, okay, يمكن كتابتها على الصورة. حاول sigma equals to sigma naught exponential Eg, and sigma naught equals to n naught E, n naught E mu n plus mu h. The equation is muchly expressed the variance of self-conductor conductivity with temperature or with the absolute temperatures. Well, it increases, or even the conductivity will increase exponentially with the elevation of temperatures, and this can be practically capitalized from by graphing or even by plotting the relationship between each of the length sigma value and the absolute temperature, then calculating the activation required EG energy to overcome or even to overtake or even to surpass the as you can see right in front of you from the resultant slope. And this can be done, or even this can be conducted from the resultant slope. ذلك يمكن قياسه عن طريق الميل الناتج. The transient semiconductors, or even the extrinsic semiconductors. When adding atomic inclusions to a self semiconductor or to an intrinsic semiconductor, here as you can see for you, the quantum levels, or even the quantum, or even the quantity levels will be increased, or the available quantity levels will increase by the both legs of the equivalence and the conduction bands. And the conductivity will also noticeably and considerably increases accordingly, and the materials will be denoted as, or even the materials will be known as the extrinsic semiconductor. If any elements of penta-equivalent elements, if any atoms of penta-equivalent elements were added, or even are added, such as phosphorus, P, or even arsenic, AS, or even antimony, SB, to a tetra-equivalent crystal, such as silicon, Si, for size here, for 4 equivalent electrons of the including, or from the intruder atom P, will sharing 4 Si adjacent atoms. Thus 4 equivalent bonds will be generated, and the 5th electrons will be affected of P, or the 5th electrons of P is going to be pretty much affected from, or even affected by, يعني وسيتأثر الإلكترون الخامس من P بكل من. The 5th electrons of P is going to be affected by each of, يعني بكل من, by each of, بكل من, يتأثر بكل من. Periodic potential energy, طاقة الجهد الدورية, for the silicon lattice will experiencing a mass conversion from Me to Me dot. يعني طاقة الجهد الدورية لشبكة السيليكون تأثر على الإلكترون الخامس will experience, or even experiencing mass conversion, يتم تحويل الكتلة فيه من الكتلة الإلكترونية Me from the electronic mass right into the effective mass of electron, يعني إلى الكتلة الفعالة الإلكترونية. Positive charge transurfing, or the positive charge overflow, يعني فائض الشحنة الموجبة في نواة ذرة P, or in the nuclei of P atoms, according to Bohr theory in the hydrogen atom, the electron will acquire a binding energy of ED given by the relationship. يعني يكتسب الإلكترون طاقة رابط ED تعطى بالعلاقة ED equals 2 M effective E to the power 4, as you can see right in front of you, and equals to M effective E to power 4. This is the relationship that describes actually the electron acquirement for the binding energy of ED according to Bohr theory, just because the coexistence, or just because the presence of the positive charge transurfing, or even the positive charge overflow in the P atom nuclei, or even at the P atom nuclei. يعني هي العلاقة التي تعبر أو عن اكتساب الإلكترون لطاقة ربط ED تعطى بالعلاقة التالية كما ترون أمامكم وفقا لنظرية بور نتيجة وجود overflow أو transurfing، يعني فائض احتمال، فائض مو احتمال وإنما transurfing فائض فقط، فائض للشحنة الموجبة في أو على نواة ذرة البي، فوق ذرة البي، or right above, or even right at the P atom nuclei. Good. In this relationships n was set to 1، يعني في العلاقة n تساوي 1، and the electrostatic attraction energy is ED, just because the dielectric constant epsilon of silicon. E naught representing the vacuum dielectric constant. يعني E naught تمثل ثابت العزل الكهربي للفراغ. And the intruder atom is denoted, or even can be defined as, or even can be termed as donor atom, because it was donated to the host lattice SI electronically. لأنها منحت للشبيكة المضيفة hosting lattice SI electronically or electronically يعني إلكترونيا، لأنها منحت للشبيكة المضيفة because just because it was denoted, or even just because it was donated to the guest lattice, or for the guest lattice SI, or not for the guest lattice, just because it was donated for the lattice SI electronically، لأنها منحت للشبيكة SI إلكترونيا. حشي الهوست والله، حشي الهوست، حشي الجيست، حشي الجيست، حشي الهوست والله العظيم. By knowing the ionization potential, first magnitude of hydrogen atom 13.6 electron volts, and the dielectric constant of silicon 11.7, and the effective mass of electrons in the lattice is almost, or even approximately, is 0.5 ME. We can calculate the donation, we can calculate, or even we can compute the donation energy level approximately equals to 0.03 electron volt, bottomized at the conduction bands, by assuming the infinitesimal, or even by assuming the infinitesimal of the inclusions, or even the intrusions, the intrusion proportions، يعني باعتراف نسبة الشوائب. By assuming the inclusions, or even the intruders ratio, or even the intruders presence, or proportions, or even ratio. On the other hand, if any atomic intruder were added, or even any atomic intrusion of trivalence, or even if any atomic inclusion of any atomic intruder إذا أضيفت شائبة ذرية، أي شائبة ذرية من عنصر ثلاثي التكافؤ from a tri-coastal element, or even from trivalence element, such as boron, or even aluminium, or even gallium, Ga, or even the indium ion, to a silicon crystal Si, there is a positively charged tolls will be generated. There will be regenerated, but the inclusions will be determined by their 3 equivalent electrons with 3 adjacent atoms of silicons, and will require an additional, or even require an electron pair for being like an excessive electrons to complement the 4th bond, or even to complement the 3rd bond with the silicon atoms and the lattice. And in this case, will equivalent, or in this case will be pretty much identical, or even this case will be pretty much equivalent to the presence of any positive charge represent the occupied state, or even the occupied case or toll, assuming the infinitesimal concentrations of intruders and the formations of a correlation energy, or even binding energy of the tolls by the by the negative transurfing of charge, or even by the overflow negative charge of the inclusion or inclusive atoms pretty much associated or even related to the binding energy ED, and the inclusions called the acquirers or even the receptor atoms for receiving or even for acquiring an electrons from the hosting or from the lattice atoms, or acquiring for gaining or even for acquiring an electron from the lattice atoms. And the ionization energy for the electrons will be approximately in the amount or even in the limits of 0.05 electron volts. The increment of electrical conductivity or even the excessivity of the electrical conductivity then for the materials is due to the mobility of positive poles at the conduction or even at the equivalence band. The conductivity of semiconductor variance is phased off is phased out with temperatures from the electronic conductions stage, or even the electronic conduction phase from the inclusions atoms of elevating temperatures to the absolute temperatures, or elevating temperatures to the absolute amount. Afterwards يعني بعد ذلك depletion phase will be appeared يعني بعد ذلك ستظهر مرحلة الاستنزاف, and then the conductivity will remain constant throughout a certain range of temperatures known as the depletion range, at which the conduction electrons in the donation energy levels will be depleted entirely, and finally the conduction phase, or the self or the intrinsic conduction phase, where the electrons or even the electrons in the equivalence bands will contribute of conductivity, or will even contribute conductivity electrically by the transition to the conduction band by the transition to the conduction band throughout energy gap. And this phase, or even the phase, is actually pretty much featurized by an excessive or even by overwhelming increasing of electrical not overwhelming is actually characterized, يعني وتتميز هذه المرحلة, this stage or even the phase is characterized or even featurized by the increment of electrical conductivity. Accordingly, the level of Fermi energy site, or even level of Fermi energy location, will be varianted with temperature, from the absolute temperature where it will be displaced for the semiconductor N upward and upward of the semiconductor P, till it will be settled till the level be settled at the midway between the conduction band peak and the bottom of conduction band, or between the equivalence band and the conduction band, as the way it happens in the intrinsic semiconductors. يعني يتغير كذلك موقع مستوى طاقة فيرمي مع زيادة درجة الحرارة من الصفر من المطلق من درجة الحرارة المطلقة، حيث يزاح لأسفل حيث يزاح في شبه الموصل N لأعلى في شبه الموصل P، إلى أن يستقر عند منتصف الطريق من شريط التكافؤ وشريط التوصيل كما في شبه الموصل الذاتي. يعني هنا شرح يجب أن يحفظ، يعني شرح يبين لك الميكانيزم، أو يبين الميكانيزم أي الآلية للتوصيل، لآلية التوصيل. There's actually an explanation, or even better for us to say, like a disambiguation or even an interpretation for the mechanism of conductivity, for the electrical conductivity of the semiconductors by triggering the electrons from the equivalence bands right, or from the conduction bands right into the equivalence bands, as illustrated here, or as you've been briefed about. Hall effect. There are many of phenomena known as Galvanomagnetic phenomena, or even the galvomagnetic phenomena, regenerate from the reactions of the electrons with the outer or the exterior magnetic fields, including change of the electrical resistivity, or even including the electrical resistivity affecting the magnetic fields and Hall effect. Many of effects, or even many of aspects here. We can assume an electrical current density of density J passes through, or even flowing through, a metallic conductor rectangular in shape with width in A and thickness of B. 2 points of CD are selected to the lateral length and in the mid region في ضلعي الطول وفي منطقة الوسطى mid region، بحيث يكون فرق الجهد where the potential is actually set، يعني يكون فرق الجهد معين أو مقاس is actually gauged or even set. And second, the effect commenced with a magnetic field، يعني فور التأثير أو فور بدء التأثير. Second, the effect commence by a magnetic field of B intensity، يعني فور بدء التأثير بمجال مغناطيسي that should be normal to the rectangular, or even normal in the rectangular plan. A potential difference will be generated of VH between the both C and D points, called the EMF, or even Hall potential. يعني once or even second the effect commence of magnetic field density, or even magnetic field of an intensity B perpendicular, or even perpendicular in the plane of rectangle, or even perpendicular to the rectangular plane, or even perpendicular in the rectangular plane, the potential difference will be generated of VH between the both C and D points, called the, or even denoted as the EMF, electromotive force, القوة الدافعة الكهربائية, or Hall effect, أو جهد Hall potential. The experiments stated, or even the experiments stipulate, that at any appropriate magnetic field intensity, the VH will equal to RHBJA. RHBJA يعني بينت التجارب أو نصت التجارب أنه عند شدة مجال مغناطيسي مناسبة تكون VH فرق الجهد Hall VH Hall voltage difference, or even Hall voltage يعني فولتية Hall تساوي RH مقاومة Hall BJA. B هو كثافة الفيض المغناطيسي, or even B is the intensity of a magnetic field, يعني شدة المجال المغناطيسي. J is the electron current density, يعني كثافة تيار الإلكترونات المحدث. The induced electrons current density, يعني كثافة تيار الإلكترونات المحدث. و A هي measuring Hall potential, and to measure Hall potential يعني طريقة قياس Hall potential يعني جهد Hall, and in order to measure, or even in order to gauge Hall potentials, if any electrons move rightwardly to the leftwardly to rightwardly to leftwardly in velocity of V in any magnetic field of intensity B affected by Lorentz force F Lorentz, where F Lorentz equal to EV by, or even EV times B. يعني قوة لورنز تساوي السرعة في شحنة الإلكترون في ضرب الاتجاهي مع شدة المجال المغناطيسي, where the F Lorentz is actually pretty much equal to velocity, or even direct velocity, the irregular velocity, and the electron charge cross multiplied by magnetic field intensity B dash, which are both the B and the V are pretty much vectors. يعني P و V متعامدتين. In case of V and B we have perpendicular, that يعني B متجهات متعامدة. F Lorentz قوة لورنز تساوي قوي equals to EVP, and the force will exert, or even the force will cause an electron deviation to the point D in the figure regarding negatively charged, or regarding negative charge, يعني نظرا للشحنة كواترون, as well as a very effective or very affected, positively affected charge will be appeared at the opposite point C. So a potential difference of VH will be generated, or potential difference of VH between C and D will be generated, and an electrical field will be directing, or even will be channeled from C to D with intensity epsilon H equal to VH by A. As well as a positively effective charge will be appear at the opposite point, or even at the adjacent point of C. So a potential difference of VH will be generated between C and D, and the electrical current density, or even electrical field will also be directing, or even channeled, or even directed from C to D with intensity of epsilon H equal to VH by A. This field is approximately affected by a force estimated as, يعني يؤثر المجال بقوة تقدر ب، يعني estimated as قدرها F يساوي E epsilon H. F equals to E epsilon H. To the deviated electrons, يعني في الإلكترونات المنحرفة، وتعمل في عكس اتجاه قوة لورنز, and works, or even functionated Lorentz force counter Lorentz force wise, يعني في عكس اتجاه يعني. So electrons will be will be straightened, and then more charge will be accumulated. F will become F Lorentz, as well as E epsilon naught equal to EVP, as well as the epsilon H equals to VP, and VH equal to AVP. And Hall potential will become as follows. Hall potential, as you can see right in front of you, or Hall voltage, will be AVP. But the current density we already been briefed about, يعني لكن كثافة التيار التي طلعنا عليها أو كثافة التيار التي نعرفها or the commonly known current density is given as follows. لكن كثافة التيار معطاة في المعادلة التالية. J equals to EMV. By evaluating V we get يعني بالتعويض عن V بالمعادلة نحصل على VH equals to 1 BJA. VH equals to R BJA. The empirical equations or pre-indicated empirical equations and assigning Hall effect from the, or even assigning Hall coefficient or Hall factor from the relationship. Hall factor equals to 1, as you can see right in front of you. Despite the simplicity of the relationships, but the relationship is actually of a maximal importance when studying electrical conductivity of solids. يعني العلاقة برغم بساطة إلا أنها ذات أهمية هائلة عند دراسة التوصيل الكهربي في الجوامد. إذ بمعرفة كل من قيمة RH, so by knowing each of RH value and their signs, إذ بمعرفة كل من قيمة RH وإشارتها, we can assign the density as well as the type of the contributed charge of the electrical conductivity. يعني يمكننا تعيين كثافة ونوع الشحنة المساهمة في التوصيل الكهربي. بذلك تكون RH, thus RH will be negative in these N semiconductors or N-type semiconductors as well as positive for the P-type semiconductors. بذلك تكون RH سالبة في أشباه الموصلات ذات النوع N وموجبة في أشباه الموصلات ذات النوع P. In addition to all of this, إضافة لكل ذلك, if the measurements are conjugated with electrical conductivity gauges, يعني إذا اقترنت القياسات بقياسات الموصلية الكهربائية, sigma equal to n e mu of the conductor, it will be possible to assign the value of mobility of for the common charge from the relationship. يعني it will be possible to assign the value of mobility for the common charge, as you can see right in front of you, from the relevancy or even from the relationship. يعني يمكن تعيين قيمة الحركية للشحنة الغالبة. RH equal to RH sigma, and the mobility is denoted as mu h. Is denoted as whole mobility. Pretty much difference from the mobility of conduction. Mobility of conduction is E L, as you can see right in front of you. Supposedly, the conclusions of RH value and the entire electrons has the same or even have the same velocity, taken in consideration the statistical distributions of velocity. So RH equal to A, and as you can see right in front of you, where A is a constant, or even a crystal dispersion mechanism constant, dependent constant. يعني a crystal dispersion mechanism dependent constant, حيث أي ثابت يعتمد على آلية التشتت في البلورة, with a value ranging between 0.99 in the thermal vibration dispersion of lattice in any ionic crystal and 1.93 at the dispersion due to inclusions, أو 1.93 عدة تشتت بفعل الشوائب أو بفعل المتضمنات. State the location. Question 1. State the locations of the equilibrium conjunction of the conductors and semiconductors as an insulators. يعني بين موقع فاصل الاتزان أو ثغرة الطاقة بالموصلات وأشباه الموصلات والعوازل. In the conductors, the energy gap lies at the interlaced regions or even at the interferenced regions between the equivalent band and the conduction band. Whereas in semiconductors, the energy gap lies or even at the region or at the spot at which the energy gap is very noticeable. Whereas the insulators, the equilibrium conjunction is lying in the region where the energy gap is substantial. يعني في الموصلات يقع فاصل الاتزان في المنطقة المتداخلة interferenced region, المنطقة المتداخلة بين شريط التكافؤ وشريط التوصيل. أما في أشباه الموصلات whereas in semiconductors the equilibrium spot or the equilibrium interface will lies or even will lie in the region at which the energy gap is noticeable. يعني يقع في المنطقة التي تكون فيها الفجوة الممنوعة. أما في العوازل, whereas the insula in case of the insulators, the equilibrium interface will lies or even will be spotted at the region where the energy gap is substantial. Question 2. A wire of copper of Cu with a length 10 cm and a cross-sectional area of 5 mm squared. Current density passing through is 1 ampere. Electron density in the wire for unit volumes is 1. Find the drift velocity of electrons in the wire. Or find the drift velocity of electrons right over the wire. يعني أوجد السرعة الدفعية للإلكترون throughout the wire or even right above the wire. يعني فوق السلك. حسب الدفعية حسب velocity والله العظيم. Good. J equals to NAVA. VA equals to, as you can see right in front of you, the equation as stated. يعني كما موضحة بالمثال. Find the mobility of electrons in the formal questions if the potential is 1 volt. The mobility equals to drift velocity. Drift velocity, as you can see right in front of you, 6.164 times 10 to the power minus 7 meter squared. velocity والله العظيم. تم بحمد الله.